called the VA home loan, and that was a game changer. I got my first home in America in my 20s. You know, me and my wife were, 20, I think we were 26 or 25 when I first got bought my first home, which is rare. It's hard to do.
Familia de YouTube, muy bienvenidos a un video más. El día de hoy estoy aquí con mi sargento de hace 4 años y se los voy a presentar. Can you introduce yourself, Sergeant?
Yes, me llamo Sargento Gogan. For the English speakers, it's Sergeant Gogan. I've been with the National Guard for almost 14 years. And I, like you just said, I've known you for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Recruited you 4 years ago. And you've been, man, we've both been going to school the last 4 years, haven't we? Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so today I want to talk to you about how was my experience, because before I joined to the military, I wasn't able to speak really good in English. And he's gonna tell you the truth, how was my English when I just came to this office, because it was right here when I just met you. Can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy 4 years ago how much you've kind of grown in your English. I don't know if that's like LCC or just speaking with other people, but like the schooling you've done here. But even you even said like
the military,
some of the training,
huge thing.
I remember when you first came in, it was kind of funny because I was well, this was after you joined, but and I'll jump back to when you joined. But I was trying to teach you something on land navigation, and it was a word that is. In English, it's a very basic word, but I didn't even think about it because I've taken a few years of Spanish and I know quite a bit. But the word had 2 L's in it, and I, as an English speaker, I know, you just pronounce it, ill. But I realized after you kind of struggled with that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, in Spanish it's a little bit different. So it was kind of a confusing word, but I was like, how does he not know that word? It's such a small word. But I was like, yeah, but you've learned a lot, and you didn't have to be a perfect English speaker to join either.
Yeah, that's one of your questions. Do you need to be able to speak English 100% to be able to join the army? Which is not, but we need to be able to understand. Or most of it is to pass the ASVAB test.
Most of it is to pass the ASVAB, yes. Yeah. But then, like you were just talking to Sergeant Roberts, there's some other ways that you're able to come in even without being able to pass it right out of the gate. There's some different opportunities that they kind of create for people that don't speak English as their first language to help them get to where they need to be to come back and then take the test later.
Well, when I joined to the military, they didn't have this opportunity here in where we live. So I had to go to do my test, and I remember that you gave me some links, but I still have them, and I still give it to people who need to pass the test. And before I went to do my test, I still remember that I was studying for about hour and a half every day before joining to the military, because I know that English was going to be a big part before doing my ASVAB test, which was hard, was totally in English, and I don't even know how I passed it, because...
You did a good job. I was surprised. I thought you did really well, actually.
Yeah.
And you're at a good job now, too.
Well, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
So it's been a whole, a big thing in the army in my life. But can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the military, what you do, what some opportunities that you had in the military, anything else?
Yeah. Well, the National Guard helped me in so many different ways. Like I said, I've been doing it for 14 years, but I've gotten a business degree, an associate's in business. I've gotten a bachelor's in psychology, and I'm currently finishing up a master's degree in divinity. And I have paid $0 for school. As a matter of fact, I've always kind of made money going to school. For my first 4 years in the National Guard, I was basically getting paid to go to school. That was my job, was to go to school, and the Guard was giving me enough money to help me get through it, to where I worked another job on the side, but it actually made me money to go to school, which is not what most people experience. They have to take money out. Buying a house in America, all my 20 to 30-year-old brothers and sisters, you guys know how difficult it is as a millennial, and now Gen Z coming into it too, people in their 20s and 30s, how almost impossible it is just for us to buy a house. Getting the money for the startup cost to put 20% down. There's a benefit to the Guard where if you've been in for 6 years, or if you deployed anytime, so if you deployed overseas to Afghanistan or Iraq, which I deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, I got what's called the VA home loan, and that was a game changer. I got my first home in America in my 20s. You know, me and my wife were, 20, I think we were 26 or 25 when I first got bought my first home, which is rare. It's hard to do. Even right now, I was just telling him I bought my second home a couple of years ago for like $200,000. And now my neighbors across the street with the same floor plan sold theirs a couple of days ago for like $400,000. And buying a house is one of the best ways to build generational wealth for you, for your kids. You know, you're trying to start a family and you want to leave something behind for them. Being able to own a house is huge because rent, you got to know, rent is ridiculous.
Yes.
So my mortgage, I'm assuming, and I won't say, people out here don't need to know like our finances and everything, but I almost guarantee, are you renting in Eugene or Springfield?
Springfield.
Okay. Either way, I guarantee my mortgage is probably at less than your rent, which is stupid because how many rooms do you have?
One.
You have, it might be cheaper than mine.
It's a small apartment right now.
It might be cheaper than mine, but for a 4-bedroom house, my mortgage is often cheaper than many apartments that only have 2 bedrooms, and they don't own it. They're paying somebody else's bills.
Yeah, my family is doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. So, I mean, like, getting into a home is so important. And the younger you can get into it, the better you're going to be because you're making payments. You're not paying somebody else's mortgage bill by paying rent. You're building your own family's wealth. Because over time, that house gains equity. You get into a bad situation where you lose your job. You can pull money out of there, sell it later, and move. Like, dude, owning a house is a big deal. And the Guard made it possible for me at a very young age, which was awesome.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And what about what did you MLS in the National Guard?
Military police.
Military police. So
Yes.
another question that people have been asking me: can you do military police while you're gonna be a police officer too? Can you do both?
Yeah. I suggest people don't do that often. You can. You can. I've enlisted somebody who is a military police and is working for the local Eugene Police Department already. I just don't advise it because our training is so different. There are better jobs in the National Guard that will help you get into law enforcement.
Okay.
Military police is great. It's just the training is a little bit different than civilian law enforcement. Military versus civilian. You can do both, but infantry is way better. If you can do infantry, that's gonna be a better introduction into law enforcement.
Okay.
In my experience.
All right. Do you wanna share anything else with us here in YouTube?
Well, we talked about building generational wealth. The National Guard has like a new retirement program too. So they will match, I think it's 5% of your base pay. So if you put 5% of your base pay into a 401k, I know a lot of young people aren't thinking about this yet, which sucks because the earlier you started, the younger you started, the more money you will have later down the road. That's the way like exponential interest happens. It's just if you're starting at 16, it doesn't matter how much a 50-year-old man or woman is dumping into their 401k. Even if you're putting $25 a month, you're going to blow them out of the water. The earlier you start, the better. And with them matching 5% of whatever you put into it, the Guard's going to match 5%. I'm in the old retirement system, but you're in the new one. Anybody else joining now is in the new one. That's just another way to build wealth for yourself, for your family, for your future and stuff. So I could go on for days and days. There's a lot of good benefits with the National Guard, but yeah, those are just some of them.
All right, so thank you very much. And if you have any question, just leave a comment below and I'm gonna try to do more videos about it. Este video también lo voy a estar tratando de hacer en español para todos los que tienen más preguntas. Así que déjenme un comentario y muchas gracias por estar aquí y hasta la próxima. Thank you very much, Aaron, and I appreciate you.
De nada.
Yeah, thank you. Big like, don't forget big like.
Big like.
Thank you.